Before we begin today, I want to ask you a question. What do you think my issue is with mixing puzzle games and complex stories? You've got roughly 2 to 3 minutes to figure it out, and there will be subtle little hints before I give away the answer throughout the review. That being said, let's talk about Ever Forward. Released on August 13th, 2020 and costing a very precise £11.39 on Steam, Ever Forward is a puzzle game developed by Pathia Games of My Time at Porsche fame. It's a game about a young girl lost in a mire of her own thoughts. Her name, I've just realised, is also Maya, and we follow her through a very dystopian looking future Earth where everyone is advised to stay inside for their own safety unless it's absolutely essential. Utterly unthinkable, I know. We watch Maya's life through very artfully rendered, half-imagined cutscenes as she tries to emulate the scientific achievements of her mother, who is some form of scientist, by working on a roundy bot. Let's get the easy bits out of the way first. The graphics are very nice and polished. I was getting very gentle vibes of Breath of the Wild and The Witness as I explored the sizable and open island that links the specific puzzle sections together. It should be pointed out that while this is not primarily an exploration game, the island is very explorable, well designed, and actually a genuinely relaxing place to be. Eventually, of course, you do have to solve some puzzles, and that brings you to the dreamlike minimalist space presumably inside Maya's mind and or memories. The puzzles are well designed with some very good mechanics which are varied enough that you feel challenged in different ways, but not so much that you feel overwhelmed by the scope on offer. This is where the roundy bots come into play. Roundy bots are, for want of a better word, the enemies within the puzzles. A lot of the time it's them you have to outsmart, and while it is not always obvious how you do this, it is possible. So the best advice I can give you if you play this game is play around, see what works, see how you can manipulate the roundy bots and take control of the situation. It should also be noted just how well designed the landscape around the puzzles is. It would have been very easy to simply hang these levels in a blank grey space, but the environment has a real depth to it, which helps make it feel like the expansive mindscape I think the developers were going for. It is also worth mentioning that the soundscapes and music within this game world are genuinely very pleasant and unobtrusive, which is very important to stop a game like this becoming absolute hell on earth if and when you have to repeat a puzzle because you get stuck or confused. Which brings me back to what I mentioned at the very start of this review. I asked you to have a guess at what my biggest issue with mixing complex story and puzzle game mechanics is. Did you guess? You are absolutely correct, stroke, miles off, delete as applicable. The problem is that puzzle games, unless you are some sort of Rubik's Cube solving robot human hybrid abomination, or like just really good at puzzle games, have sections where you will get stuck, or at the very least you'll spend longer figuring those sections out, which is usually fine. But when you only get a single beat of story after each successful solving of a puzzle, the story becomes fragmented and a little difficult to follow. And this is a pitfall this game falls straight into. The average player will get stuck, and probably more than once, which means the gap between story beats can become very large. And the thing is, I am a very average player when it comes to puzzle games. So, if I'm honest, I found myself losing focus on the story, which is a terrible shame because the story is very good. It is beautifully paced and gorgeously rendered, but because I am, let's be honest here, pretty dim, some of the puzzles took me quite a while to solve, and because I am, let's be honest again, easy to annoy, I got a little bit ragey with some of the puzzles, and I very often lost sight of the story behind the red mist of being stuck on a puzzle. Now, I should point out, you can collect leaves from the island overworld, for want of a better phrase, and these allow you to get hints within the puzzles, but they aren't always as helpful as they might be, which actually got me even more annoyed. But they are there, and it is worth mentioning. The thing is, the fact the story gets broken up in this way is kind of a travesty because it's a very interesting story and the puzzles and gameplay are very solid, but there are occasions when these two well-crafted features step on each other's toes quite painfully. That aside, Ever Forward is a good game. It's not the developer's fault that I get stuck playing their game, nor is it their fault that I have a personal issue with this style of gaming. All they have to do is make a game as well as they can, and they have. The graphics are crisp, the music and sound design are good, the story is well written, and well voice acted, it should be said, and the puzzles are very well designed and implemented. My personal gripes aside, it's a good solid experience which is pleasingly presented. It won't pull up any trees, and it probably won't go down in the history of puzzle gaming, but it is very much worth the very specific price of £11.39 you would be dropping on it. Well designed and graphically easy on the eye, Everforward is worth checking out, but probably not something you'll end up writing home about. I've been Chris for Invicta Magazine, and thank you for watching. Let us know what you think in the comments, and if you enjoyed it, please do give this video a like and a share. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and keep up with all our latest content. You can also find us on Facebook, Instagram and Twitter, plus we stream regularly on Twitch, and you can find all those links in the description below along with our website. See you next time. Goodbye for now.